All right, it's time to get back in the garage. Just doing some maintenance on these, and another thing I'm trying to get done is to get this green Jeep out of here. We bought this thing a year and a half ago with the intent that it's just going to be a quick project, and we're going to make this thing a daily driver, just to parts run in the town, stuff, keep the miles off our other vehicles, off my truck for just running around. So what I want to do, this is a little Jeep 2.5 motor. It has a blown motor. So this motor, put the rod right through the block. What we're doing is pulling this out and putting this motor in. But before I put this motor in, what I'm doing is rebuilding it. I basically did the same thing on this Vortec over here, and so it gives you an opportunity to go through the motor, see if everything's fine in the motor. So I picked this up for like 200 bucks, and then I bought a rebuild kit for 100 bucks. So just basically going through, checking the crank, replacing all the bearings, stuff like that, and going through, regasketing it. Then what we'll do is, now that's all done, so I'm going to put this motor back into that Jeep. It'll be just something fun we can cruise around the town or hit some real mild trails with.
Yeah.
Have you ever struggled to get the fuel line off of a stock fuel rail? I've even bought the tools that they sell at the auto parts store and still had a hard time getting those fuel lines off. So there's another way that makes it a lot easier in my opinion, and it just involves using one of the kids' markers that they're not using anymore. This is an old marker that dried up. We took the cap right here, and then we cut the end off of it at about the same size as the fuel line. And so what we do is then put it right over there and then wedge it up under there, and so it's the exact right size. Look at that. That's a lot easier than running to the auto parts store to get a new fancy part. Big thanks to my assistant here. My lovely assistant is helping us out. So anyway, quick, easy way to remove those stubborn fuel lines. Now, one of the most tedious parts of any motor swap isn't necessarily the motor. The motor itself isn't too bad to work on. It's all the stuff that it's attached to. So everything from the exhaust and all those old rusted bolts to all the intake parts to getting all the front accessories off there, power steering pump, water pump, all that kind of stuff. And then the bolts that attach to the transmission. These had a couple that were a real pain in the butt to get to between the firewall and stuff. That's where it helps having my wife and kids help me with their smaller hands. they can get in there a little easier sometimes. So anyway, we're at the point where we're gonna pull this motor out, and we're gonna have the kids help us here, so they can help pull this out of there. What we're gonna do is get this motor out and then get everything swapped over onto this motor. This one's all fully rebuilt, ready to go, so this should be fun.
What are you doing, girls?
Taking off the motor of the green guy.
The green guy? Who's gonna be the one that lifts it out?
Me. Me.
You guys both want to do it?
Yeah.
Shares?
Yeah.
Who's gonna make sure it's not still connected?
Dad.
Dad? Probably a good answer, right? Are you ready to take the green guy for a cruise?
Yeah.
Should we leave the top on or take it off?
Take it off.
Take it off?
Don't we need to like spray paint it and everything though?
Maybe. Do you think it needs any bigger tires?
Yeah.
You guys like these guys, or should we get something bigger?
Bigger.
Bigger?
I think we should keep the nails in the tires for the ice.
You like those nails in the tires? What are the nails in the tires called?
I don't know.
What are they called? Studs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little to get these bolts out is what we're gonna have to do. All right.
You got your instructions, Ems?
Just lift it up till it just barely starts to come off.
You watching and spotting over there, Maddie?
All right, let's see if it'll start to get these bolts to come off.
What screws are you trying to get?
I'm trying to get these bolts right here, Maddie. These two bolts hold up the motor. They're called the motor mounts. So we've got to get these out and see how we've got tension on there, so I can basically
Just pull it out.
just pull them out. And look at that. Our motor is almost free.
Is there any more bolts?
I think we got them all, because you have the ones on the transmission. It connects the motor to the transmission, right? And then we have the motor mounts holding the motor up, right? All right. I think we're free, so kids get.
Pump it.
All right, pump it up, Ems.
Slowly, okay? We gotta make sure it's loose. Okay, hold on, let's make sure it's loose.
Just keep going up. I think it's loose. Because we got to get past the motor mount.
It's coming up, Ems? There you go, Rob.
Looks like we finally have the motor free. Couple dust cover bolts were tripping us up, huh, kids?
Hey, John. Wait, before you do that, let's get Dad to get that ground off.
One last ground bolt. Looks like a 13 or 14. We're gonna do, here, watch out. Inch by inch.
You think you're gonna drive this green guy, Ems?
Maybe.
Someday this will be. Just about there. And as that comes up, we have to be careful it can't swing at you. So you got a ways to go.
Never stand underneath it, though.
Always off to the side.
Dad,
Well, Maddie.
are we gonna get a new windshield for the green guy?
Someday we'll get a new windshield. Do you see what's wrong with this motor right here?
Yep.
What happened right there? I can stick my hand in and touch the crank, huh?
Yep.
That's called the crankshaft. That's what the pistons are attached to. And it punched a perfect hole right outside. That's why we're replacing this motor. Huh?
Yeah.
Look at that. Not good. Bunch of old nasty oil in there. Punched a hole perfectly right out the side. Alright, so I'm just working on getting this timing set. I've got my motor here all ready to go. I've got this lined up, 0. My motor is at top dead center right here. I verified, made sure it was pushing air out as it comes up, and then made sure the piston's at the top, and then on my timing, it's pointing at cylinder number 1. So, I believe that's how we do it. I guess we'll I guess we'll find out. But all the mechanical timing in here, I double checked all that before putting it all together. So just getting this motor all wrapped up, ready to put back in here.
The exhaust header ended up having a crack in it, so I ended up welding it the way I always do with cast. I preheat it with the torch, get it good and hot, and then I just used my MIG welder since my TIG welder was out of gas to weld it up.
What you doing, Mom?
Trying to get a grease gun to work in the middle of nowhere.
Where are you hiding?
All right, we're making great progress on this. Basically what I've got here is the motor. I've got the flywheel back on there. I torqued it back to spec. I've got the clutch plate on there, which I've torqued to spec as well. We're getting that all ready to put back in here. And we've got that all prepped. So we've transferred everything over to this motor, and hopefully we can lift it back in there, start getting it all bolted up, and then we can finish putting all the accessories on it. Lids, what are you doing with those sweet flame grab handles?
Throwing them in the garbage.
What? You don't want to keep those?
Flames.
Well, we almost had the motor back in today. Had one minor little setback, but we'll get her squared away.